live?
There we go. We're live now. Hey, Bearded Bacon. Thanks
Hello,
for hopping
friends
on.
and brothers.
Thanks for joining Booster. Appreciate that.
Who is that?
Bearded Bacon. I'm afraid I don't know his real name. I know I've met him. He's a Mason, but I don't remember. It says Bearded Bacon, and I can't remember what his real name is.
Bearded Bacon?
He's told me before, and I realized.
Well, if it's got bacon in it, then I'm down.
Can't be a bad guy. Yeah.
That's all that matters, right?
Absolutely. And Dennis, I had a lot of people asking about you yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, at Masonicon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Sorry I wasn't there.
Oh, it's all good.
I hadn't been feeling all that great, really. It's a rough week for me.
Yeah, I understand. It's all good. That's what I told everybody. I told them you felt that step stool, so they were pretty understanding.
I tripped on a pencil.
Oh, tripped over a pencil. Got you. No, it was really good, and I'm afraid I don't know all the speakers. The first one, his name was Justin. I never met him before. I guess he's from Texas. He's a Texas Mason, but he gave a really good presentation about music and Freemasonry. Odd timing, I guess, but he talked more about the
What was
esoterics.
his last name?
I don't remember what it was. But he talked about the esoterics of music also, and the relation to like alchemy and things like that. It was interesting. It was over my head because I don't know anything about music, but it was really good.
His last name Armand?
No, I don't. No. I met just Armand before.
Armand?
And
No? Okay.
or I've seen him, but no, it wasn't him.
I was gonna say, because if you want a good discussion about Freemasonry and alchemy and music, he's a sharp fella.
The second one was Chris Williams, and he got a standing ovation. I mean, it was rock solid, and he'll be talking at the Masonic Summit next month, and I mean, literally like standing ovation, like everyone he knocked it out of the park. It was fantastic.
Yeah, Chris always does.
Yeah, trying to remember who else was there. Sam Cabbers was supposed to be there. Unfortunately, he couldn't be there for whatever reason. And then Billy Hamilton gave a really good presentation about. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name.
His book?
No, I went to a lodge named after this guy, Cochran. Yeah. Cochran. I can't remember his first name, but he gave I guess he was like the mentor to Joel P. Lightfoot, and he was talking about how Cochran came back from World War One, like he went overseas on a delegation, and came back with like a German skull. So he kind of told the story of that. it was
nice.
It was pretty interesting, and I mean it really just ends up with him walking around a battlefield looking for a loose head to take a skull from. So it was
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I feel like I'm gonna miss.
That's my kind of guy, man. That's exactly what I would do if I was in the situation.
I feel like I'm missing somebody. We had
well,
Justin.
You're missing a lot. I know it wasn't just 4 speakers.
No, we had Justin, and then we had Chris, and the third one was really good too, and I just cannot remember who it was. I have to pull up the roster of who all was there. But then Billy was right after lunch, and then they had a like a board, and the other one I don't know. I do not know the keynote speaker's name, but he was a guy from Virginia, and he gave a really good talk. Sam P. Cochran, yeah. Thank you, Kadeem. Kadeem, I thought for sure I was going to see you there. I was very, very surprised. The guy that travels everywhere. Trenton Tuppen.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yes, that's who Bearded Bacon is. But
oh, okay.
let me pull up the Masonic
Nice.
because now it's really bothered me who all these people are. I was kind of
That's
feeling out of
funny.
it, honestly. I don't know if I didn't have enough coffee or what, but I was kind of feeling a little more exhausted than usual. Okay, let's pull up the Masonic and see who's their speaker was. Yeah, I was hoping to hear from Sam, but it is
Maybe
what
it's
it
that
is.
telepathy thing from like ET, where the kid feels the same as ET. I wasn't feeling so great, so you weren't feeling so great.
Maybe you weren't feeling great because I wasn't feeling great.
I doubt
It's the
that.
other way around. Well, yeah, probably the way you said. Because, okay, all right, here we go. We actually got pictures. Let's do this legitimately. Justin Glosson was the first speaker.
Hmm.
He talked about he was the one that talked about the music, and then the keynote was Joe Martinez,
Okay. Yeah.
and it was really good. He talked about rites of passage and things like that, and it was good. Sam Kybers, who couldn't be there, Chris Williams, oh, of course, Chris Livingston. He gave a really good presentation. He was number three, and it was a little on the nose about some things, but I won't go into details. But it was a little on the nose about some things. But he also talked about a really interesting concept. You had like these two concepts are called like finite games and infinite games, and basically a finite
Yes.
game is like Monopoly, right? Like there's a definite end to it, and the goal is to win that game. And Freemasonry is an infinite game. The goal is to keep the game going. So
Yes.
anyone that has like short-term goals at the lodge or even at higher levels is really missing the point because the short-term goals, playing a finite game, an infinite game,
Playing the short game is not,
well,
you know,
it'll end the infinite game. Ultimately,
right.
you gotta play to
Right.
keep it going. It's like Freemasonry. You can't look at like the next 5, 10 years. You gotta look at the next 50, 100, 200 years. You gotta be very forward thinking.
You've,
And so,
you've got to be a big picture thinker. You cannot be a face value thinker to really thrive and succeed in Freemasonry. That's a fact.
yeah. And
I
so,
think it. In fact, I mentioned that in my last presentation that you got to hear. There's finite minded men, and we are the infinite. We
mhm,
we we deal with the infinite, and that's what it requires in Freemasonry. And yeah, I absolutely agree.
yeah.
Chris is Brother Chris. He's a really solid brother, and I love him. He's also one of the Grand Lodge um, lawyers in the jurisprudence.
Yeah.
Or wait, is he in civil law? No, he's in jurisprudence. But
Well,
if you ever have a question that nobody else can answer, Chris can answer it. I guarantee you.
so this was actually
Very
the
sharp.
first time I actually got to have a real conversation with Chris and Cody Stewart. Cody Stewart was there, so it was during lunch, and
Nice.
me and Cody Stewart and Chris were kind of had this conversation. So it's the first time I really got to have a real good talk with both of them, and
I
I
love
had a
them
real
both.
I had a really hard time keeping my mouth shut during the presentation because we had just been talking about these same concepts. So I guess it was on Chris's mind. Maybe that's why it came up. I was pretty opinionated, so I having a really hard time keeping my mouth shut. It was a great conversation and it was a great presentation.
Nice.
Overall, it was all excellent. It was a great time. They did have a question that came up. They had a panel, and a lot of the questions were like really technical. But by the way, Kadeem says he wasn't there because he was loading up for the summit. So yeah, boy, looking forward to that. That's gonna be awesome. And Trent said he would have been there, but he was being knighted at McKinney Commandery. So congratulations on that. Those are really good degrees.
Congratulations.
But the
That's
question,
uh that's where I was, and I was the actual candidate when I was knighted. So
oh, you got knighted
you
at
got one
McKinney.
of the best. Yes.
Nice.
St. John's is my mother lodge.
Wow.
I'm still a member of St. John's. And so right after I became a Mason, I went into the York Rite because everybody said, that's the continuation of the degrees. And so I did that. And plus my mother's maiden name is York. And so, it felt
And she's
right.
always right. Yeah. At least
Oh
my
my
mom.
gosh.
Well, my mom's always right. So or at least according to her anyway. But yeah. Um, by the way,
But
so
she's not York.
that's true. That's true. But a question that came up there in the panel that was really interesting, and I was really surprised by the answers. So I'm curious your thoughts. The question was, is it is three black balls ideal, or should we have stayed with one to reject?
Oh, that's a tough question. Um,
Well, it's just your opinion. It's not really too tough. There's
I
no
think
wrong
I
answer.
think
I mean,
well,
I might disagree with you.
I see the value in one black ball, right? But I think that three is appropriate, and the reason why is because, especially in a small town, you get different personalities that the good old boy system, and some people really are, worthy of being Masons, but then you get some people that are, for whatever reason, some vendetta or whatever against a family, it can hold somebody back from becoming a Freemason.
Mhm.
Now, with that being said, I also see the value in them not being a Mason in a lodge where people don't like them, but um, ultimately, I think that the reason they went to three black balls instead of one is because you did have such a good old boy system going on that it wasn't being fair to the candidates
Yeah.
in some situations.
So let me give you a quote, and I'm curious your thoughts. This is all on the same lines, and this was actually from when we interviewed Dave Yance
Mm-hmm.
last year, and the quote is, "More harm has been done to the fraternity with white balls than with black cubes."
Right.
So if you disagree with that, then I could understand why you would want to keep the black cube rule. But if you agree with that, then really the black cubes isn't the issue. It's the white balls. If that makes sense. It's not
Right.
that the issue the issue isn't that we're blackballing too many people. Is that we're letting too many people in.
Right. But if if you've got the right culture in your lodge and the right mindset and going into the vote, then you're going to get enough black balls to keep somebody out. If they really deserve to be out, you're going to get enough black balls to be out, in my opinion. If you don't, then it's an issue with your lodge that you ought to change that culture and not necessarily with the system,
I agree with that.
in my opinion.
I agree with that. Often, people just get voted in because nobody knows them, which really should be the opposite, right?
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
What doesn't happen? People
People
don't.
get voted in because we don't know them.
Oh,
We know everybody that comes in,
you talking about
but
Goliad?
we're not. Yeah, we're not a
Oh,
bigger
okay.
lodge though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's yeah, and we've got, you know we've had um, county sheriff, um, we have investigators, we have county judges, Department of Public Safety. We have all kinds of representation in our lodge that could definitely keep people out if it was necessary.
Yeah.
And not going and looking at anybody's record online or anything, but just knowing, in areas like ours, everybody knows who the bad guys are, right? So just having those people in your lodge, you're going to find out any dirt on any bad people that come to the lodge.
Yeah. Well, it's like Kadeem saying here. Like his case, he's in a small town, and he's like, "Here's the thing: you vote out someone that turns out to be the best prospect." Absolutely. I mean, that's always the risk. It's always some danger with that. And I get, I know like the big concerns is like maybe someone petitions and their family's not liked, or you have some racist guys in the lodge, or something like that. Dude, if you are petitioning a lodge, and I agree, it really should come down to the lodge culture, because this should be all figured out before they even petition, right? Like
Right.
like hey, these guys
Before they're given that petition, you ought to already know,
yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah, I agree. But the thing is also, like, say like you have an African American guy petitioning, and you got five or six. Well, let's just say like two, because we're talking about like the one cube rule, right? If even if you just have one guy and he's really racist, this guy's not gonna feel comfortable. He gets in anyway, right? And so it might not be the best. It might not be the best lodge, because he might get a negative Masonic experience, and you don't want that. I don't know, and I'm just saying, like, if you have like a
I
family.
don't know, but I don't think that you don't want that to be the deciding factor. I mean, that's because then he has to stay out for a couple of years before he can
Well, that's what I'm
repetition
saying.
anywhere
I know,
else.
that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I know what you mean. I'm thinking more like before like, hey, this, because we kind of I've been to. I actually had to have this conversation, and I won't get too specific, but we have some African American guys in one of my districts, and unfortunately, there's some outdated mentalities, and I was like, you just. So I had the conversation, like, we want him to come, but if these guys show up, I don't know how it's going to go, and that's unfortunate. We have that, right? But if I don't know, man. I don't know. I could see both sides. Like three ball, one ball. If you have someone and their family's not liked by like some of the people at the lodge, it should come out before the petition, right? Like, hey, this might be a problem. Either we gotta resolve it with this one member, or say, look, you might have a bad experience. I don't know. I don't know. Like
Well, and that's where I feel pretty fortunate about Goliad, because we have had situations to where we pulled people aside and said, hey, this kind of stuff isn't okay. Um, if you really want to be a part of this, then these are the things you have to think about in your own living. And they
yeah.
didn't petition.
Yeah. I guess really after I kind of talked to myself about it just now, I think the three ball rule is probably fine, as long as there's a better process, if that makes sense. Like, if the lodge is doing its due diligence and being sure, like you said before, like, we should know if they're gonna get voted in or not before they get a petition, right? We should
Right.
already know how the vote's gonna go.
Yeah. And if you have people like that in your lodge, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna tolerate
Oh
that
no,
mentality in my lodge.
me either.
If I know if somebody says something offensive that would be offensive to someone else, to me or in my presence,
Mhm.
I'm gonna let them know, because that's my job as a brother,
Yeah,
right? That's one of the things that Freemasonry has pushed to the side in the name of peace and harmony,
hmm,
not having those tough discussions. But that's our job.
yeah,
We're expected to be that justice for the other person. And so if we're not willing to stand up to somebody and say, hey man, that's not okay. You can't do that anymore.
yeah.
That doesn't align with Freemasonry, nor does it align with what this lodge should stand for. And
Well, if we're talking about like the specific example I was given, like there was a merge at one of the lodges I go to, and unfortunately in this merge there's a guy that's really racist, and I've said things to him before, but um, for whatever reason he never got nothing's ever happened, but like, and he rarely shows up, but the comment I was like, we want, if we have anyone any Masons that want to come to our lodge should feel welcome. But I wanted to just say, hey, be aware, if you, because there was actually talk about him conferring a degree, at our lodge. And I was like, look, if you come to this degree, this guy will be here, and he's racist. Now, if he says something, anything at all, I will file charges.
I was
Right?
gonna say
I will
I'd
file
file Masonic
charges
charges and get him out.
until it's absolutely not acceptable. However, my concern is the fact that something would happen would be a negative experience. You see what I'm saying? Like
Right.
if how am I saying this? Like you want the Masons, you want all Masons to feel welcome at your lodge, right? And if someone says something racist or inappropriate, charges will be filed. However, the fact is that you had a new Mason go to a lodge and someone said something racist to him. Regardless if you file the charges, that experience still exists for his Masonic career, right?
Right.
And you don't want him to get turned off from the fraternity because of that experience, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, that's and yeah, the people don't like me because I'm a little too opinionated sometimes, and because I say things that not everybody will say.
Mm-hmm.
But I can assure you that I am the person that will say something about those kind of things.
Yep.
And if for no other reason, you should respect me because of that, because I'm the guy that's going to make sure that doesn't happen in front of me.
Oh no, there's
I'm the guy
no
that's
place
going to
for it.
escalate it. I'm the guy that's going to escalate it and have that brother escorted out if there's a problem. And being that justice is on my side, I know that, and that's why I'm not afraid to do it, because
Rush upon them.
when
Justice
I
being on our side.
when I take a stance on something, I'm not afraid to follow it through, to see it to the end. That's the one thing, people don't like me for that, but you know what?
No,
That's an attribute.
it is an attribute. I think
we should have more people like that in our fraternity.
We should. I think we shouldn't be afraid to draw those lines, because if you're, what is the saying? Evil exists because good men stand by and do nothing. Right.
Yep.
If you hear things like that, and if you just stand by and do nothing, are you really a good man? Are you really doing the right thing? But anyway, yeah, we went kind of off a tangent, but yeah, I really can't stand people like that. Like, it's just disgusting. And fortunately, he hasn't said anything around me since I brought it up. But I know he still has hate in his heart. And next time I hear it, yeah, absolutely, it will go a different way than it did the first time. I was a very new Mason when I first met him.
Right.
So, Anyway.
I'd like to say, yeah, go ahead and do that. I was going to say, I'd like to say, I'm extremely proud of Chris Williams, and the fact that everybody stood up and applauded him. He is one of my two main mentors in this fraternity, and that's why
he sold out of his books too. He brought the John Deacon books, but he also had There Is No Texas Without Freemasonry, like a whole box of them. And I was like, and after he talked and we went for lunch, it was like a big crowd at this table. I was like, you know what, I'll get one after lunch. I'll come back, and they're all gone. It's like, what the heck, man? So I hope he brings it up to the summit. I hope he brings it up to the summit, because I really wanted one of those.
Yeah, he will, and he'll also sign those books when you're at the summit as well. So if you already have one of his books, bring it, and you can get his autograph while you're there.
Yeah. So
that and Brad's.
Let's look at these comments. So Kadeem was saying one lodge didn't even take the vote on him, and they blocked his petition, and it turned out to be the best thing in another lodge. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that clearly would not have been a good fit for you, Kadeem. And if you had a Masonic experience at that lodge and it was negative, you might not be the famous Texas Mason we all know and love now. You might have been like, screw this. This is a racist, crappy organization. So,
right.
And I hate that exists. I hate it. I hate that exists.
It shouldn't
even be a conversation. Yes. But
it is.
Yeah.
Well, and that's that's part of the problem of having such a spread out, wide open fraternity that we have in Texas. We are 6 times bigger than all of the lodges or all of the grand lodges around us at this time.
Yeah.
And I really believe that we should be, you know, shrinking our infrastructure, and that way we could have better control over what we do have in Texas instead of having that kind of stuff going on out in these backwoods areas.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Backwoods districts. But let's see. Yeah, he also said he was told that as long as he was white, they were welcome to the lodge. I mean, what about Hispanics? Like we got so many Hispanic Masons.
That was actually said at a lodge.
That's what Kadeem says. Yeah. I don't know if he was told that directly.
Message me and tell me where that lodge is.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's a mess. David Lawson says the best thing that's happened in their lodge was to deal racism is visitors from Prince Hall. They're awesome brothers from a different mother. Yeah, I've sat in lodges. I haven't been to Prince Hall Lodge, but I've sat with Prince Hall Masons. And I think we as a district could learn things from them based off how they do things. Yeah. I mean,
we've got mandatory practice every Sunday now for the commandery because the Prince Hall commandery is coming to ours to visit us.
Nice.
We have mandatory practice because of that, not because our inspector's coming, but because Prince Hall is coming. So that should tell you something about that fraternity, that part of the fraternity.
Really,
and how crappy, we have become, and we need to step up our game.
Well, what I was thinking about was it was a post. I'm trying to remember who made it. It was a few days ago, and they posted. All it was a really good deal on a suit. It's like $59.
Oh yeah,
you buy the suit and you get a tux for free.
You get a tuxedo for free.
And then someone made a comment.
I wish I was skinny enough to get that one.
Someone made a comment like, "Oh, here's another conversation about the extra and all. I don't really know that makes me wonder about the fraternity if it's a good fit for me." He's like, "This would not be a conversation in a Prince Hall group. I'm just saying."
Right.
Like every time I've been sat with Prince Hall, they are dressed, dude, and they
dress for success.
They come in with intent when they come to the lodge. Like everything is sharp and squared. It's like, man,
because it's serious.
It is serious. It's like this wouldn't even be a conversation in a Prince Hall group. Like,
talk about excellence.
Yeah.
And your voting process. The brothers at Prince Hall, I doubt half of our membership would be able to get into their fraternity, into that side of the fraternity, because their expectations are high and they're serious, and you have to be able, and you have to be dedicated to financially supporting your lodge, and not messing around.
Trent says, I bet they feel dumb now. Look at how well Kadeem does and how he has improved the craft. But let's see. Kadeem says, and I also get it. I went to Durant and the guys there told me they are glad that he didn't automatically join Prince Hall, more so that he was welcome at the Grand Lodge of Texas. So yeah. It's just these old mentalities, and it's mostly the older brothers, right? The ones that kind of have this old racist mentality. There's this saying, nothing a few funerals won't fix. You can't really fix an old racist. I'm sorry. I mean, you can kick them out, but you can't really.
A few funerals isn't gonna fix it because those people are still making Masons as they go. So they're multiplying their culture as we speak. And so a few funerals isn't going to fix it. What it's going to take is some serious brothers to take a stand and say, this is not okay anymore. We're going to stop this bullshit.
See, Kadeem says, Prince Hall guys are tough on their admission process. They took a guy that petitioned their lodge, and a year later still wasn't admitted. Yeah. Man,
good. We should be learning from them.
I mean, that's a good process, really. There was someone was talking about a lodge at Masonicon, and oh, it was Joe. It was the main speaker, Martinez, and
Hmm.
he was talking about how he went. He was visiting a lodge for like a year. This isn't about petitioning, but it's still really good in my opinion. And he's like, hey, after about a year, he's like, I might as well join this place. I like it a lot. And so he asked for a petition, and the worship master's like, no. He's like, you don't understand. It wasn't a petition. It was like an affiliation paper. He's like, you don't understand. When we decide that we like you enough, or that we want you in the lodge, we'll indict you. And so I mean, he eventually got invited. But I was like, man, what a smart process for like existing Masons.
I got to tell you, there's some invitation only lodges out there today that exist, and they only accept a certain amount of membership.
Hmm.
And man, they've got it going on.
Yeah.
They don't have any problem with people wanting to be in their lodge, so they won't ever have an issue. And one of them, their their dues is $400 a year, and the other one is 600. And there's no shortage of people wanting to become members of those lodges, but they're invitation only, and you're not going to get a request. It takes a long time, and it's unanimous vote also. There can't be any black balls before you're invited.
Interesting. I mean, the best lodges, the most successful lodges are probably the ones you don't even know exist, right? I mean,
Yep.
they're just keeping their head down and practicing Freemasonry and working on that. Kadeem says, "What do y'all think of the Hillcrest Lodge admission process?" I think it's great, from what I know.
Man, I think it's awesome.
Yep.
I think that's the way to do it. If I was gonna emulate any process, that would be it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Chris talked a bit about Hillcrest and the processes and everything, like what they got going on there, like how they built the buy-in and everything. Well, yeah, because the value is there, but wait, the value's in
What's
what?
interesting? Do what?
Oscar says because the value is there. I'm just not
Yes.
really sure what he's talking about.
What's interesting? Well, the value. What's interesting is that a lot of your Hillcrest members are not members of the Scottish Rite and York Rite because the Freemasonry is so good in Hillcrest.
Yeah.
That value is there. It's expected that you go in and that you're an active member and that you participate in the true esoteric as well as the catechism. That you are a part of any event that they have. You're expected to be there, and that's the way lodges should run. And
Yeah.
and when you have those expectations as you bring people in, that culture stays rock solid, and and you have that value.
Oh, the invite only lodges have the value. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Because they don't just let anybody in that might ruin the culture.
Well, and Hillcrest might as well be an invitation only because they're very serious about their process.
Yeah.
So it basically is an invitation only. People ask and they vet them for months outside of the lodge atmosphere.
Mhm.
They vet them for months before they even give somebody an opportunity. So it is them inviting, basically.
Yeah. And Kadeem said if he was a member of a very active lodge, he wouldn't be in independent bodies because they'd have a lot of light going on. And you and I have talked about this before. You join some little podunk lodge, you're promised something, and you're promised a certain amount of value, and you never get it, right? The old bait and switch conversation. And so, yeah, well, I'll look at York Rite, I'll look at Scottish Rite, I'll look at the other pendant bodies, and eventually they'll find one that offers what they're looking for, or they'll just get disinterested. But if you join a really healthy lodge that has very vibrant education um, and is very selective, right? Then yeah, they'll you don't need to go to Scottish Rite or anything because I mean you still can, but if you're getting all the value you're looking for right there, I mean, why would you? You're not gonna start looking at other things because you're already getting satiated.
The other day,
What's up, Justin?
remember when we were sitting there talking with Chris and Brad, and Brad looked over at me and said, "When are you going to write your book?"
Mm-hmm.
I was writing on it some this week,
Good.
and that's part of what I was uh, I was writing about, was the fact that we people tend to go to all the other bodies. All the other bodies, in my opinion, were created because they weren't getting the Freemasonry out of the lodge,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why people lose people to the appendant bodies. If they had more going on in their lodge that was real practicing Freemasonry,
What's up,
then
Caesar?
and I'm not the one that's going to say what Freemasonry is, but in my opinion, if you're not doing certain things in your lodge, you're not practicing Freemasonry. And if you're not doing that, you're going to lose me to the appendant bodies all day long.
So,
I'm a Scottish Rite guy. Period.
there's a conversation that I wanted to have, Dennis, and I think also this was. I think it was. It was either Chris Williams or Chris Livingston. I mean, both the Chris's were pretty awesome, but the point was made that you could split Freemasonry really into two sides. You have the organization side, and then
Mm-hmm.
so you have organizational Freemasonry, and then Freemasonry, like the esoteric / philosophical side.
Mm-hmm.
And Freemasonry existed before organized Freemasonry as we have it today, right?
Right.
And Freemasonry will still exist even if organizational Freemasonry was to just disappear.
Right. As long as I'm alive,
And
that's for sure.
yeah, so it really got me thinking. It's like, because we've kind of had this conversation. I think we've touched on it before. Yeah, but something about it, the way it was presented, is like, because we got a lot of videos, we have a lot of content. We talk about endowments, and we talk about dues and like best practices and the progressive line and all this stuff. And I think there's value in it. But I think sometimes maybe we are focusing as whatever we want to consider ourselves too much on that, if that makes sense. I think somewhere down the road we need to say, hey, we need to shift more onto like the esoterics and just personal stuff and things like that. And I know we had talked about like focusing on the more male aspect of the fraternity. But I think we've set our piece on dues and stuff like that, and I think we need to start turning inward. And I'm not saying like for sure it is. For those listening, like me and Dennis we partner on this, so I'm not saying that's the direction 100% we're going. I'm just sharing my thoughts, and but I think that'd be more benefit, because if something was to happen, like I mean, and so what. Because we all know lodges are consolidating, right? And they're doing their thing. There might be, it's not without the realm of possibility that 10 years from now, 15 years from now, people in Texas that are Masons may have lodges that are an hour away, whereas at one point they were 10 minutes away, right? And so they may not be traveling as much, or they may be further away than that, especially if you look at the more rural areas. It's like, really, that stuff won't matter to them at that point. The dues won't matter. It's too late. And frankly, I think a lot of the lodges that we're trying to save, it's too late, because they're just not hearing it. It goes out one ear, in one ear, and out the other. But we could focus on the internal aspects of Freemasonry, like the philosophical and the esoterics and stuff like that. There's always value in that, regardless if how close your lodge is or anything like that. I'm just thinking out loud.
Well, here's my thoughts on that. The reason why we deal so much on the institution is because, frankly, the bulk in Freemasonry, that's their concern, is the institution. Because just like you said, the true esoteric will always be there, and I have those discussions with all of the brothers that I meet with on a regular occasion, um, in and outside of the lodges, and in a more private situation. I have those discussions with those brothers. The majority of Texas Freemasons are not interested in the esoteric. So if we can help them to understand how to manage the business of Freemasonry, it's to the benefit of the lodges in Texas so that they'll stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that, us talking esoteric on here isn't, good. We could certainly do that. I can get as deep as you want to get. I love it. I dig it. I live it, and I write on it all the time. But I think that the reason why we have been successful is because we deal with the institution, the business side of Freemasonry, because that's what that's the depth that the majority of our listeners are going to listen at.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in a negative way, but they're coming to us because they're trying to understand why their lodges are failing. So they're looking for outside sources to help them.
Yeah. I get
And
that.
I think that's why what we do is, though, shit, yeah, man, I'll have deep discussions any day of the week. I can tell you it may scare away some of our listeners also.
Well, I'm not talking about like out of this world stuff or anything like that, but just
Well, I don't care. I'll talk about it all. If you want
yeah.
to know how deep I can go, ask me. Ask me your questions on online right now. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it with anybody.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're offended or not, because my opinion is my opinion.
And I'm not I don't know. I don't know what that would ultimately look like, for us, because I think you're right. Like people do come for a lot of the institutional stuff, and I think a balance is important. But I don't know. There was a comment. Let's see. Oh, Justin Hiroshita says, "How is it every time you guys go live, you're always talking about topics and issues that my lodge is dealing with currently?" Man, that's just how we roll here. It's just how we roll.
That's exactly what I just said. We're talking about the things that are going on in the lodges because we're trying to help the institution.
Mhm.
And that's why we have the listeners that we do.
And Devin McLean says, "Yeah, you gotta refine the internal first, and the external will follow." I agree. I agree. And that goes back to the whole clothing thing too, right? Like we were talking about. Yeah, we talked about it like a few weeks ago. It's. I'm not suggesting you wear suits or tuxes specifically. I'm not suggesting tuxes or anything like that. But I think let's just put Freemasonry.
I think a dark suit is warranted.
Let's
I
just
won't
put Freemasonry.
apologize.
Let's just hang it on the coat rack for a second, because I think, me personally, and I don't want to go down too much of a tangent on this, but I think personally, as men, I think as you grow professionally in the community, there comes a point where, man, just going out in like shorts and flip flops just doesn't cut it anymore, right? And I'm not suggesting wear a suit just to go get groceries or something, but I think as you develop, there comes a point where, hey, maybe I won't wear pajamas to Walmart, yeah. And I think if we put back on our Masonic hat for a second, I think the same thing applies to like the lodge. There's a point where you grow as a man, but also even as a Mason, where you're like, you know what, I think it's respectful to let's all agree to wear polo, like a lodge polo, or let's all agree to do like
Let's
the
all
cowboy
agree
tuxes.
to dress down because a couple of people don't want to dress up.
No, yeah. I mean,
Let's do that. Yeah, let's all wear a polo because people, their balls never dropped, so they don't have a need to wear a suit
I think you
because
have
they never became men.
I think you have to You have to pick your battles. I think you. How do I put this? If you go to some really rural small lodge or something like that, you could, you could, you could probably push for like a polo dress code, or even like a cowboy tux maybe, right? But you have to. Sometimes you have to take baby steps. You can't go into a lodge and say, like one of those lodges, and say, "Okay, dudes, we're all just gonna start wearing suits," right? They have to. You have to kind of build up sometimes.
Well,
Sorry,
you know what?
I was looking at the chat.
When I became worshipful master my year, I told all my officers, if you want to be appointed, I want people to wear suits. I want my officers to wear suits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not going to turn away anybody for in that's membership. I'm not going to turn them away for wearing whatever they want to wear. But you know, as officers, we are the representation of what our lodge is.
Mm-hmm.
And still to this day, the top 3, 4, 5 wear suits in our lodge.
And I think that's great. I mean, you were able to pull that off because of the culture at that lodge.
Well,
at that time.
it was a decision.
Mm-hmm.
It was a decision. I made a decision and said, this is what we expect. And now the brothers have carried on that decision. They don't tell everybody else how to dress, but if you're an officer, there's certain expectations. Just like we expect them to go to officer leadership training. We're paying for it, so you better go or you're not going to go to the next level.
Yeah.
It's an expectation.
Tobias Howell is in the chat. He said it was just raised yesterday. Congratulations, Tobias. That's really cool. That's
Congratulations. Really cool. That is awesome.
Yeah, I gave a presentation. I don't know if I'd say recently, but I gave a presentation this year, and we were talking about, like, it was specifically about rites of passage, but I was talking about how it was important to take it seriously, and that the first impression makes a big difference. And if a new guy goes into a lodge and everyone's hanging out in shorts and flip-flops, that's not a very good impression. And there was one brother sitting there who's an EA, like an EA for like 2 weeks. And it might have been 2 weeks. It might have been like 2 months. But he was a very new Mason. And everything I said after that, he did not hear. Because he was so offended by the fact that I would suggest that there be any kind of standard, that it was elitist. And I was like,
who in the hell let him in?
Well,
that's all I got to say.
Well, his dad's a Mason, and he's a good guy. But yeah, I don't know.
You know what? No, I'm not okay with that. You know, people can be a good guy, but okay. So I had a presentation not too long ago that I mentioned this in. Which did we do? Did we make the leaders? Did Freemasons make the leaders of this country that built this country? Or did we just attach them to us because they happen to be Freemasons? Because the leaders were already. They didn't learn how to be leaders in Freemasonry. They didn't come to be taught how to lead the country and lead the state through Freemasonry. They just happen to be Masons, and so Masons attach themselves to those leaders like Washington and Jefferson and all the greats, Stephen F. Austin, Sam Houston. Yeah, you keep doing that, dude. Now, and here's why I say this. Because we brag on having all these members that were all these great leaders of the past that were Masons, and yet when you ask somebody to take pride in themselves in what they represent in their lodge, they get offended because they have to wear something besides just their nasty ass blue jeans and boots. And you know, I don't care. You want to call yourself a Mason? You want to say that you're part of the same society that George Washington was in Sam Houston and Stephen F. Austin? You want to call yourself a member of that same society, and you want to complain because you're expected to step up, to level up, to be a little bit better than that that average Joe that walks down the street that doesn't care about anybody but himself and his own realizations in life. No, that's not okay with me. It's not okay with me. I'm so tired of hearing people that are offended because it's the internal and not the external.
Hmm.
Your external represents your internal.
Hey, I don't disagree with anything you said at all.
I know, but I'm just so tired of people saying, "Well, he's a good guy." Well, you know what? If he's a good guy, step it up, level up.
Oh no! Well, I mean, you said he shouldn't have got let in. It's like, well, I mean, it wasn't one of my lodges, but it was the son of a Mason, and I personally like his dad, but I had nothing to do with this guy coming in or anything. I was just making that comment.
Well, I'm,
Um,
I'm just I'm just saying that I'm tired of everybody saying,
oops.
"Well, they're a good person." There's a lot of good people out in the world that are not Masons.
Oh, I wasn't
A
talking about
lot
him
of
being a
them.
good person. I don't know if he was or not.
No,
Oh,
I'm just
damn it!
saying.
I
I
keep
mean,
hitting the wrong buttons. Hold on a second. I gotta fix this.
we're we're part of this fraternity of
Uh,
men who excel in life, or at least they used to be.
Sorry about that, everybody. I messed up the video. Okay, we're good. We're good. Sorry, I
So
didn't
we're
mean
part of this fraternity that used to be men that excelled in everything that they did. Their goal was to improve the lives around them, to improve this world for the betterment of all. And here we are offended because we can't live life exactly how we want to. Go ahead and live life however you want to outside of the fraternity.
yeah.
Go ahead. Don't drag down my fraternity because you want to just be some average Joe. That's fine. Go
Mhm.
ahead, be that average Joe. But don't tell me I have to be, and don't tell me my fraternity has to be to suit your needs. I'm sorry. I'm so tired of that.
Let's look at the comments real quick. No,
Before
it's
we
just
lose all our listeners.
no. We're doing good. Devin says suits are Devin McLean suits are. Let me back up. David Lawson says for me it has nothing to do with the external. It's about respect for the craft. Yeah. Devin says suits are cool. It adds to the experience. I can understand it can be troublesome for people, but maybe recommend it at least. Maybe not mandatory. Or even like Dennis was saying, like the top three. Like if you wanna go be a warden or worshipful master, you need a suit. And you can't
Yeah, there's
say.
expectations.
I mean, what's it take? Like if you start at junior steward, what is that? Like 5 years before
7
you end up
years.
going. Well, 7 years till you go to the
Junior
east, right?
Stewart. Yeah.
But you have plenty of time to anticipate and make plans to buy a suit and all that if you do that. Um, Justin
Man, I
says,
budget for my work boots. I buy expensive work boots and I budget for them.
"Yep."
And I have the money to buy them every time I want to replace them because I budget for them. Anybody can budget for anything that they want.
Hmm. Justin says, Hiroshita, I agree with you, Devin. I like the idea of wearing a suit, but I believe it should be encouraged, not mandated. Devin McLean, yeah, honestly, for me, business casual is the most doable all around. Got to keep in mind that some people come in straight from work. You can't change into something fancy. He also says, you mean George Washington didn't attend lodge wearing flip flops. Then, let's see. Justin says, agree, Devin. And some people can't afford a nice suit, but a standard. And I'll touch on this before you go off the leash there. See,
Before the beast.
but a standard is necessary. Collared shirt and pants for sure. Tim Smith says, I have a small disagreement with that statement. While I typically wear suits to lodge, clothing doesn't make a leader, and sometimes there are brothers that can't afford to wear a suit. So just to those, like, there was I'll speak from personal experience first. When I was a new Mason and I realized I wanted to start wearing suits and I was in college and I wasn't making crap for money, I went to Goodwill and found some suits. And I was fortunate. I was younger, and it was easier to find clothes that fit. But I found them, right? And I recognize like that's not always easy for everybody, but that's one thing. That's one thing I did, and you couldn't tell they're from Goodwill. They're good suits, but also there was I'll point to that post in Texas Freemasons. $59 for a suit with a free tux. $59. And you could say, well, I don't have $59, but you could budget for it. Like Dennis is saying, you could anticipate, hey, I in 3 years I'm going to be a junior warden. I need to be sure that I have $59 over this period of time so I can buy a suit or something like that. There's options.
Well, and in my opinion, if you're going to be an officer of the lodge, it's a lot more expensive than $59. There are a bunch of unexpected expenses that come up that the lodge just can't afford.
Yeah.
And if you want to get it done, you've got to pay for it. And that's part of it. It's kind of like being dad. When your kids, something comes up with your kids, you just got to come up with the money somehow.
Yeah.
You just got to figure it out. And I think that this being a hobby, if you can't afford the hobby, don't do it. And I'm sorry to sound that way, but I think I budget in life. I have to. With all the things that I have going on, with all the different memberships I have, with all the different everything, with my rent properties, with everything that I have, if I don't budget, it's all going to come crumbling down.
Yep.
And so I think that anybody out there, if you can't budget, that's the first thing you should learn how to do. Yep. Learn how to do it. Budgeting for a new outfit, for a new, for slacks and a tie. There comes a certain time in life, like Justin said earlier, there comes a certain time in life when you need a suit. A man needs a suit for something.
Yeah.
There just comes a time in life where it's time that you become an adult and you have a need for a suit. Now, granted, the lodge doesn't have to be that need, but if you're an officer, why not step into that role? If I have time to come home and change into a polo, I have time to come home and change into a suit because I believe in it.
Even if you don't
But
have
I
time,
don't like the excuses. I just don't like the excuses. That's all.
Yeah.
It's not that I have anything against the guy that can't afford it right now or that comes home straight off the shift or whatever. I get it. That's okay. But just don't give me all the other excuses out there. Just don't tell me it's the internal and not the external. Don't tell me that it can't be done, because everything that I've done in life, I could have said I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I did it.
Did you see that bow tie I wore to MasonicCon? Have you been on Facebook at all? I was getting dressed for MasonicCon and I was thinking about you. It's like, you know what? I haven't worn a bow tie in like 2 years. I think I'll bust out the bow tie for that. So
nice.
I wore my little bow tie. But I'll
clip on?
No, of course not. It was a zip on. It's zip. It took me longer than I thought it would, and there was a lot of bad words said to finally get it on and looking good.
That's okay.
But
That's okay.
Yeah, but damn it, I was gonna make a point. I'm trying to remember what it was. Let me look at the comments here because I think it was something.
Hadn't worn it in years.
No, man, I lost my train of thought. I started talking about tie. But let's see. Oh, I was gonna say this. So like, I'm a teacher, right? So it's not one of those jobs where I'm outside like sweating. So I understand it's a different world, right? But if I am going to work 3 days out of the week, we wear jeans and like spirit shirts, like school shirts. So I'm not even dressed like quote unquote professionally.
I was gonna say, yeah,
most of the time.
I'm old because all of my teachers had on slacks and
it's changed things, and it's hard to find teachers, so it kind of trying to make it a little easier, I guess, as far as dress goes. But anyway, my point is, so like most lodges that I go to, Mondays is like jeans and spirit shirt day. If I know I'm going to go to a lodge, probably right after, like I won't even have time to go home. In fact, sometimes I just don't like to go home because I don't like to get the kids all wound up. I like to just go and then come back. I don't want the kids to get excited and then I leave again. So anyway, my point is, if I know that, I'll put the clothes in my truck that I want to change into, right?
Right.
I mean, it might be like my Masonic Improvement shirt, or it might be like a dress shirt, but it's always like a jacket. I may not wear like dress pants, just depend, because if I don't have anywhere to change, I don't know. It just depends on where I'm going and how far the occasion and everything like that. But my point is, I plan ahead and I have it with me, so at least I could take care of that and change, if that makes sense. I don't show up in like a t-shirt or anything like that.
Well, I'm sitting here on a computer screen. I could be in my underwear right now. Nobody would know, but I'm not. I dress for the occasion. I put on a collar shirt for this. If I'm not in a collared shirt, then I'm going to be in my Masonic Improvement T-shirt. So I still suit up. It's just like when I go to work. There's a certain uniform that I use for work. I show up and I suit up. I suit up
Yeah.
always.
Okay, let's look at these. Let's see. Yeah, Bearded Bacon says, put your suit in the car on lodge nights. Change before the meeting. Yeah, and I mean, I usually change in the parking lot, as if it's just a shirt. But I mean, you could take
What's
dress
funny
pants in.
is my wife has actually started paying attention to how quick I throw on my suit, my three-piece suit, and my bow tie with my cufflinks, all that. I can throw that on as quick as some people can put on a t-shirt and
Mhm.
shorts because I've just gotten so used to it. That's the thing, is that once you get used to it, it's just part of your uniform, and it just becomes easy. It's not as hard as what it used to be.
Yeah,
That's
I
for
mean,
sure.
cufflinks are a pain anyway. At least from my experience. Like I put some on a few weeks ago. I was like, man, these are a pain in the butt. Let's see.
But see, I'm used to it. I know exactly, you know.
Yeah, if you do a lot,
Anyways,
it goes faster. Cesar Rubio says the moment you lower the standard, there's no standard. And he talks about planning and success leaves clues. Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of the reason there's resistance is because there's been no standard for so long.
right.
And depending on where you're at is where you start with the standard. But anytime lowering standards easy, raising the standard is always hard. And once the standard is lowered, it takes a lot of effort to raise it up. But I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, I agree that there's value in it. I'm not making excuses for people. I'm just saying, and we talked about this with other things. Like once the standard is lowered, it's hard to get it back up.
Right.
Um, I want to look at the
And
comments.
really, and really, I like I said before, it's not so much that I care so much about the suits. I'm just tired of the excuses.
Yeah, I mean,
That's it. I'm just tired of the excuses.
I agree.
I'm tired of people
I'm not.
saying, but he's a good guy. But still, I mean, that's just because he's a good guy doesn't mean he was meant to be a Mason.
It's not the excuses that irk me. It's this external. It's the this internal, not the external argument I keep hearing. I know Masons that are sitting in the East that cannot open a wet paper bag, let alone a Masonic lodge, right? They can't remember how to do anything, but they remember that one paragraph, and they live
Not
by
even
it.
paragraph. They know that
Not even
one
full
sentence.
paragraph. They remember that one little
Yeah.
bit and use it to justify. Tim Smith says budgeting is a strong skill to have, but also understand that all brothers have the same ability. He did say for a suit, but it took a year. Well, I mean, yeah, and
But
that's
you
what
did
I'm
it.
saying.
You
Yeah,
you
but you did
set
it.
that goal and you made it happen. And that's the thing. And that's the thing that we should be learning in throughout all of Freemasonry, is that we know where our bounds are. We just have to set the goals and put it within our bounds. Because if we can't imagine ourselves there, how are we ever going to get there?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it. I agree. I agree. Yeah, like Tim said, it's he had the goal to eventually get a suit, and he achieved that. And going back to like Dennis's example, where you said the top three wear a suit. I mean, if I'm getting installed as senior deacon, and I know a year from now I'm going to need a suit, then I can start planning. Even better if it's longer. Like Caesar says, ask for help. I mean, we're here for that also. A lot of
Right.
Masons tend to expand as they are Masons for a long time. Something about the chili dog dinners, I guess. So you'd be surprised how many of them probably have suits that for whatever reason don't fit anymore. You
I
can
have a
say,
3-piece suit right now that I can't fit in that I need to just give away.
well, you can say I don't want a hand me down. Well, how's that different than going to Goodwill? If you're, I mean, and I'm not being facetious because I mean I went to Goodwill,
Right.
so and frankly I got suits now that were hand me downs, and these were given to me recently just because the brother doesn't wear suits anymore. Not, let me back up. He doesn't wear suits professionally anymore, so he's like, here you go, my old
I was gonna
suit.
say
No, 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 no.
that I
It
was gonna
was
say that just doesn't even sit right with me.
no, it was. He doesn't wear suits professionally. He didn't have to, so he had all these nice suits and he gave them to me. He still dresses up for lodge, but yeah, if that makes more sense. Oscar. Oh, Justin Harishida says I didn't look like I was there to park cars, like unlike some people. Yeah, I busted out my favorite bow tie and tried to look good. It was nice. I had my hair cut the other day. I was like, you know what? I'll just go all in. Oscar Cordova says I keep a dress shirt and coat in my semi truck for that one off that I need to park near lodge when I'm out working. That's awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
Charles Smith says he resembles the widening over time remark. Yeah, I was doing that for a while until I started fasting and eating a lot healthier again. Justin says he widened over time for Hills of Mason. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it happens. It happens just for men in general, unfortunately. But also you see that with Masons a lot. But yeah. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But
yeah.
but yeah. I mean, it's my point
I
is
spend
like
more time at lodge and less time at the gym.
it's hard to find that balance, especially if you travel a lot. I was yeah. That's what I like about the gyms that are like Anytime Fitness and stuff like that.
Right.
Because originally my gym was just a local one. It's like, man, that doesn't do me any good if I'm in San Antonio or something like that, right? I need something for travel. So
Well, I used to have memberships, and I would go at my time was 9 o'clock at night. I'd go at 9 and I'd work out for a couple hours, and then go home, do some reading, and then go to bed. But now that I'm got a 7-year-old or 8-year-old now, oh my goodness, um, I don't do that anymore.
well,
I just come home.
I know some Masons that they keep the Anytime Fitness not necessarily because they need it, but because it gives them showers wherever they go. So
Right.
if I'm going straight from work to a lodge, it gives me time to, hey, I can go there and take a shower at the Anytime, then jump over to the lodge.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Justin Hershida asks a question, something that came up at our Briscoe conference. What causes Masonic burnout? Oh, Dennis, what do you think causes Masonic burnout?
It's that 80-20 rule. And everybody that's on this that's busy in their lodges, they know it. You have 20% of the membership that's doing all the work for the rest of the 80% that's out there. And I think that that's what causes the burnout, because you have one or two brothers that, or I won't say one or two, but you have this small percentage of brothers that they care enough that they're going to keep going and keep going until they can't go anymore. And in the other 80% just take advantage of that. They don't even care to try. They just let them do it because they don't want to commit to the craft. And so those brothers get burned out. In my opinion, that's the number one reason. Number two is just people getting involved in too many things. I've been, you know, I've been part of that myself. I'm always going. Ask anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always going. When I'm sick or something, like I've been down because of falling off that ladder. I've had a lot of people calling and checking on me, worried about me, because they hadn't, just because I've taken a day or two off, people have really called worried about me that
Oh, you
something was
answered the
seriously
phone for
wrong.
them?
He's one of them. He's one of them. He gets nervous when I go down. Man, it's an event. people start worrying because I'm involved in so many things,
Mm-hmm.
and that can happen. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, burnout. I agree. And some of the comments on here are saying the same thing. Like, Caesar says he knows the answer. I'd be curious what he says. But yeah, it's easy. It's easy to do too many things. And in fact, I'm actually in the process now of kind of consolidating my activities and memberships.
so he can spend more time on Masonic improvement, so I don't get so burned out on it.
Yeah, yeah. But also my kids are getting older, and I know they want to start do sports and stuff, and I realize I need to pull back on some things so that I have more time for the really important things like the family and stuff. But otherwise, because I know I'll get burned out if I don't, right? But I think also like personal experience, I I don't like things that are run poorly. It it it
Right.
it, it burns me out if that makes sense because I don't like things done halfway. I don't like people cutting corners. I don't like people ignoring things, ignoring details and stuff like that. And it really makes me disinterested because it makes me. I don't like to be the only one that cares, if that makes sense. And I know, yeah, you can say, well, change starts with one person, yada yada. I get that, and I've been that guy. I've been that guy that pushes for the change. It's it's an it's an uphill battle, right? And you can only fight so many uphill battles before you see a trend. And so if I'm in an organization or a lodge and people are half-assing things, right? If if they can't open the lodge or if they're handling the finances incompetently or can't even handle like the simple basics of Robert's Rules of Order or the Grand Lodge law and stuff like that, I'm not interested anymore. It's not worth my time. Me personally, I want to put my time and my energy into lodges that are either healthy or want to become healthy, if that makes sense. And not just lodges, but any organization at all. If it wants to improve itself, if it wants to grow, if it wants to be the best version of itself, or is at least willing to put the effort into that, I get excited for that. That's what I get pumped up about. However, if you have lodges that don't that don't want to change, and no matter how much education you present, how good your points are, so on and so forth, if they just circle the wagons and want to just live in the little hole, I burn out. I burn out real fast on that. I'm not going to put my energy into that. I'm not going to invest my time into that. And you can say, yeah, at least you're planting the seed. Yeah, yeah. But if it doesn't get watered, or if you put the seed in bad soil, what's the it was in the Bible. I think it was Jesus talking about sowing the seeds, right? One falls by the road, one falls in a field, one falls in a ditch, so on. Some don't grow at all.
I never
Some
heard
do.
that.
You haven't? I'm pretty sure it's. Let me. I'm
I've
gonna.
I've heard it in fertile ground and in rocks and but not in the road, the ditch, the I don't know.
I'm not a
That's
preacher.
I
Let's
don't know.
see.
That's some other parable.
Let's
I
see.
bet Tim or Charles can tell us what parable that is.
Yeah.
But I know which one you're talking
Yeah.
about. I'm just
Now I'm
messing
gonna
with you.
find it now. Parable of the sower. Let's find it. Here we are.
Well, I'm at the point now. I don't allow myself to get burned out anymore. I just don't waste my time on those areas like Justin. I don't waste my time on those areas that
Okay.
don't want
I
me
found
there.
it. I
That,
found
that
it.
don't appreciate what I have to offer. If I can't bring anything to the table, then I just won't even waste my time with that
Yeah.
lodge.
Okay.
I'll just go somewhere else with my time and where I can be
Okay.
of
I'm
value.
excited here, Dennis. You have to let me read this now. This is
Go
important
ahead.
to me. This is important.
I
So a
want to I want
farmer.
to hear
It's
about
the
the ditch.
it's the parable of the sower.
Right.
It's not. It must have been taken out with the translation or something. There was definitely a ditch at one point. But a farmer went out to sow a seed. As he was sowing the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places that did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly, but because the soil was shallow, when the sun came up, the plants were scorched and they withered because they had no root. Others fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still others fell on good soil, where it produced a crop 160 or 30 times what was sown. So that's really what I'm getting at. Like it's good to plant the seed. It's good to be able to do that. But if it's falling on the rocky soil or among the thorns, it's
Yeah, and in the lodges, it's a lot of times it's the thorns.
yeah, you got some
Because they don't want you there to begin with.
you got some thorny past
But
masters.
but the reality is that I'm more serious about my time, and I know where my time is best spent, and that's where I do it now, so that I can be more effective and more intentional with my Freemasonry.
Yeah.
I'm not that scattershot guy. I don't want to just throw it out there and see what sticks. I'm going to be intentional with exactly what I'm doing, so that I know that it's going to take root.
Yeah. And that's really what it comes down to. Like, if you're that farmer just on the rocky soil, you're going to get burned out. Like, everything's dying, right? I'm not going to plant here. I'm going to go over here where it's fertile. And that's what I'm talking about, like the lodges that are interested in growing or are already healthy. But really, me personally, I enjoy visiting healthy lodges, but my joy comes from helping things improve. Which, oddly enough, that's the name of the show, right? But I enjoy finding organizations that want to improve and helping them get to where they want to be. And it doesn't just have to be the lodge. I mean, any kind of like even like student council at like the school. I enjoy taking the reins and helping these things become what they really can be.
Well, see, I don't even have to do that. I don't have to go somewhere to where I can help them improve. I just want to be somewhere where they're successful, and I'm happy just sitting back and enjoying their success and taking it in.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one that has to do it all the time. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. I want to surround myself with successful people instead of me being the smartest person in the room. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Justin Rockenberg says, to me, I get burned out when I feel like my effort is in vain. As long as I feel like I'm making a difference, I don't mind putting the work in. Yeah, I mean, that's more or less what took me 20 minutes to get across. But yeah, you summed it up very well. So, David Lawson says, well, again, talking about us. But he said that's their entire district. And Justin Hiroshita says, well, at least we have plans in place and recognize the need for action. Yeah, I mean, that's the first step, the recognizing the need and then putting plans in action. So, definitely. You have to be receptive of new ideas and perspectives. Yep, I agree. Man, we've been all over the place today, haven't we? Covered everything.
Yeah, but, it's important stuff.
It is.
But what's interesting is that it's, like I said at the very beginning, it's more institutional stuff. It's not, it's not the esoteric stuff. Mm-hmm. We can talk esoteric. You want to talk about the internal versus the external. Where do you see yourself in your journey, esoteric wise? Do you feel like you're still in an earthly state, or do you feel like you're in the middle? Like you're halfway there, yeah. Or do you feel like you're there? Where do you feel like you are?
I'm in Nirvana, dude. No, I don't know. I think you don't ever really get. I think like the highest levels are not really for us on Earth, if that makes sense. But no, I think I'm still pretty new to the journey. I feel like, and if anyone says that they've mastered it or anything like that, I really question it. I mean, we had Paul Reyna on here, and I think if he was still with us, he would even say, there's still just a lot to cover, and that dude knew it. I mean, he was years ahead of me. light years.
Right.
And I think he
Right.
would even say there's still a lot of ground to cover. The work's not even half finished.
Well, I don't know. I think that you can get pretty close here on Earth. I know that I'm not.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not close. I'm still more towards the earthly state than the heavenly state. Um, but I also know the path.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize the path from the earthly to the spiritual?
I feel like I do. Yeah. I know that. I know that. Like you're talking about, I think it's possible to get close. I think so, but it takes a lifetime of like devout dedication to get at like the pinnacle of what you can get in this world.
I think
Go ahead.
I think that's part of what we should be learning in Freemasonry that we don't learn today in our lodges is the importance of what those degrees are really telling us in as a apprentice, you're first joining, and you're about as earthly as it gets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're, in fact, you're coming out of the the earthly mindset into the lodge. And then as a fellow craft, you're taught all these lessons on the stairway. All those lessons you should be learning because those are the things that help you to get closer to your maker. If you study these things, then what it's going to do is it's going to draw you closer to your maker. And then ultimately, at the in the master's degree, you you learn that it's time to rebuild your temple.
So there's an interesting comment here. It's Devin McLean. It says it's about finding and integrating balance. You can get too caught up in the spiritual, esoteric side and become ungrounded in the physical realm with its various responsibilities and obligations. And I think we've all seen that kind of person. Like I see a lot on the comments, not these comments, but like on the videos. You get some people out there that are just so far out in left field, like the esoteric stuff. I think you can go too far too fast, if that makes sense. Because I think you can kind of go nuts if without some degree of restraint or guidance or just patience. And I mean, they start. You recognize these people, like they come out of left field and they're talking about, like I had one guy commenting on about the vril, which I've heard of before. I think I don't know if it's supposed to be like an alleged alien species or if it's like an inner Earth kind of thing. I've heard of it in some conspiracy theories, but it's like, and conspiracy theories are the same thing, but it's totally different topic. But you see, like the conspiracy theorists, like they go so far, so fast, and they're just absolutely off the wall. You can't even have a normal, coherent conversation with them. It's the same thing with the esoterics. Like if you are not grounded as you go, it's easy to kind of lose yourself to it, and you just come across as a nut.
Well, if I think it's just like what he was saying is that there's that balance because we have to remember we are still on Earth, and we still have a job to do here, and we won't. You're like you said, we won't get to that fully spiritual point until we leave this Earth, because we do still have a job to do here.
Yeah.
But there are people. I have a hard time calling anybody a nut anymore. I really do. I mean, there's some tin hat guys out there. Don't get me wrong, but I think when it comes to spirituality, I have a real hard time calling somebody a nut. I think they can forget about
that guy. Yeah.
They can forget about their earthly responsibilities, and it goes too far. But
It's funny you say that because I get
I hate to say it's they're nuts.
yeah, because I deal with a lot of the comments on the YouTube videos, and it's funny you say that because I don't really call people nuts on the comments or anything because I think a lot of times they're just misled or misunderstood or plus in this atmosphere like it's kind of dangerous to because we know about the stuff that happened like with like El Paso and the unfortunate brother in South Texas. Like you don't want to antagonize these people because who knows how crazy they really are. But going back to the conspiracy thing, a lot of the stuff that people thought were like crazy, like conspiracies, like even 5 years ago, it's kind of come to light. Oh, maybe they weren't as nuts as we thought they were, right? But by the same
Right.
token, I see some of the commenters on the YouTube videos and stuff, and it's like I know these guys are nuts because I know the truth, but from their perspective, they're seeing a lot of conspiracies that are kind of coming to light, like oh, this really happened, so they're wondering. They don't understand like where that line is, if that makes sense. So my point is
Well,
like
but
a lot
I'm
of the stuff that people would say were nuts 5 years ago, it's kind of coming to light as oh, there's some truth to it, or it is true. And so for these people from the outside looking in, well, how do they know that the Masonic stuff isn't true, even though we know it's not?
well when I'm talking about esoteric stuff, I'm talk I I could be considered a nut to a lot of people because I'm not the guy that's gonna dig in my heels in Christian dogma. I'm not that guy. I was at one time, and I was very dogmatic with even my own family when it came to Christianity and the Bible and stuff. And now that I've dug deeper, and this is exactly why the conspiracy theorists think that everybody's going to hell that are Freemasons, because I really don't fall into that that Christian mold anymore. I'm I'm more open to Hermeticism and Kabbalah and and the teachings of the Hindu and Buddhists, and all of it makes sense now. Now that I've started studying more theology, it all makes sense now that there's more in common than there's not. And it's really the dogmas of the religions that cause people to say somebody else is nuts when it comes to spirituality. If it wasn't for our own personal beliefs in certain religions, we would understand that we have absolutely no right to judge somebody in their own spirituality,
Yeah.
because we have no definitive proof. Everything that's been done has been written by some other man or interpreted by some other man at some other point in time. And how are we to really be sure of any one thing being the absolute? It's not fair to any other religion for me to say that they're nuts in what they're thinking,
Yeah.
because who am I to say? I'm going based off of a dogma that I was taught in within my culture.
Yeah. Well, as long as we're talking about comments, as long as we're talking about Christianity, I'll say the without any hesitation, the rudest comments we get on our YouTube are coming from a Christian perspective. Every time.
Yeah,
We're a cult. We're going to
yeah,
hell. We worship Satan. Yada yada yada. It's always like that. Like even the conspiracy theorists. I mean, they'll come out with their reptilian stuff, and someone's talking about like wearing like fake mask, and it's just uh, it's probably ill natured, but it's not. It's kind of entertaining, frankly, to read some of it, but it's not like you guys are terrible people, you're going to hell kind of thing. But from the
right.
Christian perspective, always is, and it's like that's really not the kind of people that we're supposed to be. I don't know. I made the comment to somebody. It's like it's okay to acknowledge that someone has a different faith without feeling the need to belittle them or try to convert them. Right?
Right.
That's not your role. Believe what you want and leave other people alone. And if we could all just do that, we'd probably all be a lot happier.
Right.
Let's see. There's someone here. Let's see. So name's GA, and he says, I would really like to find the right lodge for me and my family. A petition was handed to him to join a local lodge where he's from. Scroll down a little bit. But I really want to not be in the same lodge as my family. I hope that makes sense. It makes total sense to me. He says, it's a little different when trying to find the lodge that's right for me. It's not like I can't just show up and ask to hang out for a month or two to get to know everyone. But I'm also skipping around, so maybe that's why it's kind of out of context here. But he's in Georgia. No, I'm sorry. North California. Justin Harishita says you should be able to find your Grand Lodge's website and find a list of all the lodges near you. And
Yeah, California's pretty good about it. Well, actually, California's pretty private about that kind of stuff.
I mean, we got
Caesar, is Caesar still on?
I don't know. He hasn't said anything in a while. Caesar Rubio could definitely
Yeah,
point him in the right direction. He's a California
Caesar. Yeah, Caesar Rubio from Masonic Muscle. Find his podcast and reach out to him. He's a California Mason, and he can help you.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he is. He is. And I actually know some brothers up in Washington State. If you're that close to Washington up in Northern California, I don't know. You just have to let me know, and I can shoot you that direction, and maybe they can help you in your journey. But yeah, Caesar would definitely be able to help you with the lodges there in California for sure.
Yeah, Justin Hirschita says it's no one's place to prove that their religion is better than everyone else's. Faith is your faith is a personal journey, right? Because it's always really what religion comes down to is us trying to resist our human nature, right? And that's a personal journey. So why do we feel as though we need to always worry about other people's personal journeys? That's the whole point of it being a personal journey.
And what's interesting is that, well, but that's also it's interesting because there's a double-edged sword there, because that's also the reasoning why some people say we shouldn't talk about religion and whatnot in Freemasonry. But actually, we should be talking about the fact that all faiths are valid, and we should be able to talk about the theology of religions and not specifics on religions, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And because we actually kick it out the door because it is a personal journey. We kick it out the door and don't talk about it at all, when that's actually part of the foundation of what Freemasonry is being able to talk about it so that we can understand ourselves better by discussing these different theologies with the different theology with other brothers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, Jason Rockenberg says, repent, Justin, repent. Yeah. But no, I mean, it's like,
and he would.
If you can't sit with like a Jewish man brother or a Muslim brother or a Buddhist brother and have a conversation and learn about their beliefs without feeling like you, I don't really understand it because I never had the experience, but feeling like you have to defend your own beliefs, then you need to do some internal reflection, I guess.
Maybe it's your beliefs that are wrong.
Yeah, really, I wouldn't say they're wrong, but if you are not confident enough in your beliefs to have a conversation without feeling like they're being challenged, or feeling like your belief system is vulnerable, then maybe reevaluate. And I don't mean that as like a personal jab to anybody, but
you know what I don't like? I don't like the fact that religions themselves tell you to draw the line.
I agree.
Some religions tell you you have to draw the line, or you can't be, or you're not a good person of that religion. I don't agree with
Well, not
that.
even just drawing the line, and let's be frank. I mean, that was the backbone of Christianity for a long time. Was not just draw the
Well, it
line.
still
It
is.
still
It's
is. I know. I know.
fire.
I know. I know. But it's not. At least we're not like anyway. But I agree. It still is. But it wasn't just
I'm the
drawing the
exception
line.
to the rule in my area.
But it was. I mean, look at like the not the Crusades, but like the Inquisition and stuff. Like it's this way or
Yes.
it's this way or no way at all, right? And that's the way it was for a long time. I mean, that's why.
Well, and even Judaism, there's a certain arrogance because they were, the chosen religion of God, the chosen people.
Wow,
And there's a certain arrogance there sometimes.
wow,
And
wow, Dennis.
and I'm not look, man, I'm
I
just
mean,
stating what
well, I mean, you see it in
I'm just
Christianity
stating
too.
facts,
I'm
and,
just
and I'm
I'm just
not
giving you a
and
hard
I'm
time.
not saying that there's anything about that they need to the point. It's not just them, there's other religions as well. You know, there's in the Quran you learn that that's one religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one religion. Christianity's the one religion. Judaism's the one religion. What's fun is that all of those are after uh, Hinduism. Hindu was the first religion. Actually, it was a little bit older than that with other religions, but um, Hindu's the first one in the timeline, written religion.
Yeah, you're getting choppy. Like
And
your
my
audio's
internet
your
was one
audio's
unstable.
okay. Yeah, I was gonna say your audio's getting
Yeah,
okay.
it's not saying
There
that
we go.
anymore.
There we go. You're good now. Okay. Dang it! I hit that button again. Didn't mean to do that. But yeah, I mean it's. I enjoy those kind of conversations personally because I like to learn about other people and
Yeah.
their beliefs and everything. And
Well, me too.
it's really not a bad thing to have a conversation with somebody and maybe cause it to reevaluate your own beliefs, right? I'm not saying you had just because you speak with a Muslim guy or Muslim person, it doesn't have to be a guy, but just because you speak with someone that's Muslim, I'm not suggesting that you totally
You have to
reevaluate your
convert.
entire faith. Yeah, I'm not suggesting you
Right,
convert.
right.
That's not what I'm saying, but it's okay to have a conversation
I
with
did.
somebody and
Just kidding.
maybe understand where they're coming from, or maybe like, oh, I never thought of it in that context. Maybe that is what they were saying, but you don't have to necessarily
Right,
convert.
right. I agree. I don't go into any conversation with a brother trying to convert them anymore. When I was younger, with my when my boys were younger, I was so dogmatic. I could see why they would be against Christianity
Hmm.
because I was a damn near a dogmatic tyrant when it came to Christianity being the only way.
Yeah,
And I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of how I was when I was younger. But that's part of the journey that I've been through. Getting old and being a Freemason and talking to intelligent people that were more intelligent than myself.
yeah. That's another reason I've got a lot more lighter towards some of the comments and stuff, just because, and just in personal experiences, because like what you hit it right on the head, you don't really know where they're at on their journey, right? Because we've all been jerks at some point.
Yeah.
We've all had bad days, and we've all said things that came across in ways that we probably would never really talk to people on a normal day, and you can't. And I've had it before where people leave like rude comments, and I came back just trying to from a place trying to understand or something like that, and they'd apologize, but like, sorry, I didn't mean to come across like that, and so it's easy to get defensive, right? It's easy to see things at face value, but we also got to understand we're all humans, and we all have different experiences, and just because I perceive something as negative doesn't necessarily mean it was intended as negative, and it also doesn't necessarily mean that person's a jerk. It just maybe they were a jerk when they typed it They're not if that makes sense. Like, even to this day, I'll still do things that's a jerk. That's jerk of me. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm a jerk, but it's just how it comes across or how my day was.
You know those comments that you get. Well, you're just not high enough. You don't know. You're just not high enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the reality is that comes from somebody that is very stuck in the dogmatic ways of their religion.
Yeah.
And I can see where they would say that to me now, because actually, I wasn't enlightened enough to understand why they meant what they meant, because now today I don't have that dogmatic feel with my religion. I don't have that viewpoint of this is the only way.
Yeah.
I now feel like, all roads lead to Rome, right? All these different religions, they're all learning the same things so that they can get closer to God in general, not that any one particular way is the only way. So now that I believe that, I can see why that guy was right in saying I just wasn't high enough, because I do believe that now, that my religion is probably not the only religion that's going to get somebody to heaven or get somebody to God. I won't even say to heaven anymore, because that's too face value.
Yeah. I was actually going to say something very similar to that. It's like, that's why I can have a conversation without feeling threatened. Like, I mean, I care about your faith, but also I don't care in that I think that, I don't know how to put, like I could talk to someone.
I'm glad you care about your faith.
I'm glad that you care about it, and I care enough that I don't want to be, that I want to be respectful. But I think ultimately, I guess I don't care in the context of I can sit and have a conversation with you, regardless of your faith, without feeling like I need to be defensive or offended by it, or that I need to try to convert you, because I ultimately think that if we are good people, and I think all religions teach that, right? Be a good person, and here's this reward. I think if we're all good people, then ultimately we all end up in the same place, or we see each other again. Or
they're all structured based on moral and ethical allegory,
and they're all similar. And don't kill people. Right. Be nice to each other. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Don't steal.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say, well, my religion has all the same basic concepts and laws, but since you don't sit in the same temple I do, you're going to hell. Even though the commandments your religion teaches exactly, yeah. Just because, I mean, it's so superficial to say, well, even though my religion teaches not to kill people and to steal things and to have adultery and yada yada yada, and yours teaches the same thing, well, you're still going to hell because you danced or something like that. It's like come on, man. I mean, we can all get along, I think.
Yeah.
Kadeem says, off topic, will y'all have a live the day after the summit? I don't know, man. I don't know.
We're planning on having a round table type of a discussion at the summit.
Yeah.
So we are gonna squeeze that in somewhere, whether it's
especially
after
you're gonna be in it.
Yeah. Whether it's gonna be during the summit itself, or if it's gonna be in the after party after the degree. I don't know yet. We haven't narrowed that down yet, but we are gonna have some type of a round table to where our brothers can ask us specific questions as well as our speakers, and then we can all talk about the event itself on and maybe that'll be live, but we're definitely going to record something for on the event.
You know it, man. It's going to be awesome. Well, it's almost 10 to 11, so let's start steering this ship towards port. So we can, let me record that episode. Everyone is hopping up to it. You're going to be in it, dude. You're going to be in it. You show up at that summit, you're gonna be on YouTube, man. You're gonna be famous, more famous,
Yep.
more famous
Yep.
than any Mason ever.
And all you brothers that are coming, bring a brother.
Yep.
You'll be glad that you did. They'll be glad that you did. Um, it's definitely going to be an event that you don't want to miss. I'm excited. I'm not speaking. Justin's not speaking. We're just there as fans of these people.
Mhm.
You know, these are now granted they're close friends of ours, but I'm their biggest fan. That I'm excited to be able to be there and listen to their talks and just be part of the crowd. You know,
I'm bringing Patty with me.
Patty.
Patty, bringing Patty with me.
Speaking of your balls dropping and being an adult,
Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous.
will you please donate to Masonic Improvement so that we can get him surgery to help his balls drop and him be an adult?
Oh man, what a hater!
That's so bad.
What a hater!
That's so bad.
But
Well,
yeah.
I'm not going to say there's no, Sasquatch out there. I believe that there probably is somewhere.
Well, good. I
Just
agree.
like I believe in aliens. There's got to be.
Yeah.
There's got to be. That's got to be our ancestry.
I think there's way more to this reality than we can even begin to really perceive. But that's a whole other. We should probably do that close to Halloween. Just have like a far out there crazy conversation.
Yeah, man.
About
yeah.
like the paranormal and stuff like that. Because I'm down for that, man.
Yeah. Well, we could have somebody talk on Nat Washer Lodge because it's supposed to be a haunted lodge, and we can go there and do a interview there. I'm going to speak there in October, as a matter of fact.
Oh, are you? I've heard stories about ghost stories. Who's a member there?
There's several people that are members there.
Okay, that we oh my gosh. Dang, their names are on the tip of my tongue. But yeah. I talked to some of the brothers from there about like some of the strange things that have happened. And that'd be a cool place.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely ought to do a show there if you can come down and do it.
Let's see. Looking at the comments here. Trying to see. Oh, Kadeem asked if I'm driving or flying. Definitely not flying. I'm gonna be driving. My wife still doesn't know if she's coming yet, so that would really depend on
What?
a lot of things. Yeah. Well, it depends. She didn't know she's coming because it depends on the kids. Yada yada yada. So we'll see. But
That's
I'm
the whole
driving
reason why we did this, man. Okay.
to bring the wives.
That's why I did the hotel where I did. Otherwise, I could have done one a lot cheaper.
Oh,
Not so much fun for the family.
well, dude, I can't. I'm not gonna bring her. She's gonna be mad at me. We'll see. I'm trying to talk her into coming because I don't like to drive. I don't
Get
like
your
to,
woman in line.
Oh
Get your
boy,
woman in line.
you're gonna get us demonetized. Let's
I'm
see.
glad she doesn't. I'm glad she doesn't watch the show.
Yeah, yeah. Looking forward to it all in the after party. The after party is gonna be awesome. Just saying. Tim
Until our
Smith-
wives let us. As long as our wives let us have an after party.
Tim Smith
Go ahead.
says you can be an adult and act like a kid. Yeah, it's good to have a little bit of fun. I don't think that was kiddish. I think Dennis is just a hater. But he's a hater, former skater. So
That's right.
Kadeem
right.
says he's very much
Skate or
looking forward
die.
to the fellowship. That's going to be the most exquisite. Yeah, that fellowship is going to be awesome.
It is. It really is.
Just seeing, like, no exaggerating, like when Chris Williams finished his speech and everyone stood up and was applauding. It's like, man, this is because Chris is going to be talking. He's going to be one of the guests there.
He's the first one.
Yeah,
He's
But
the first
not-
one out of the gate.
But I mean, really, if you think about it, not just Chris, but I mean, you got Kohanke, you got Brother Park, you got
Jim Rumsey.
Jim Rumsey, of course, Marshall Almager, right?
Almager.
Okay, I don't know why I said Almager. You got
And most worshipful.
yeah, you're gonna have most worshipful.
Most worshipful Shank.
Yeah, but he's gonna be he's gonna be festive board, but it's still gonna be really good.
Oh
And
yeah.
I mean, who else? Of course, the keynote you're gonna have Brother Walquist.
Kyle Walkus.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, it's just like I've heard all these people speaking individually, like isolated. It's like this is gonna be, it's gonna be
And Lucas
amazing.
Minton.
Lucas Mitten. I thought I said Lucas.
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's
Right Worshipful Minton. Right Worshipful Minton.
Yeah.
And Gohanky. We've got some brothers that really bring a lot to the table when
Yeah.
it comes to today's Freemasonry.
By the way, the link is at the top. I pinned it here. You can actually get tickets now just through Masonic Summit. It'll redirect you to Eventbrite, but yeah. So Masonic Summit's kind of the go-to link we're using now. So
MasonicSummit.com.
yep. And so
That's our website. And when after we're done with the summit, it's being developed to be more of a website that will be interactive for our guests, and it's really cool what we're doing.
Oscar Cordova wants to know if you still have rooms available. He needs a room for him and his wife, so you might get with Oscar and just
Yes, if you call the hotel itself, there's an option to speak to the desk, and that's what you want to do, and tell them it's under Masonic Improvement, and they'll give you the rates for the room, and you can ask. I've got all of our rooms blocked for upstairs, top floor, and I know there's still 4 more available for the ocean view. I've got all the rest of them for the ocean view blocked, but for all of our speakers and everything. But there are more available. So if you call the front desk and tell them Masonic Improvement, you can't go through the website or through the booking, the booking numbers that you get online. You have to call the specific hotel. The Hilton Doubletree in Corpus, it's the only one.
not the single tree or the triple tree.
The double
Tree. 2 trees. That's it. But yeah, there's still rooms. It's going
Dos tres.
Justin says, is that gonna be a no cap after party, Justin? Yeah.
A no cap after party?
Yeah.
Meaning
I don't know. I was hoping you did.
meaning that there's no cap on how much intoxicating liquor we'll have there. I know I've bought 21 bottles of wine so far, and I've got 3 bottles of scotch and a bottle of rum. So I don't know. Somebody else probably needs to buy some beer. I don't drink beer, so
I don't really either.
I got a bottle of scotch for me, and then 2 more for everybody else.
For after the degree. For after everything.
Yes, after the degree. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's when the party starts, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's gonna.
Yeah,
be,
that's when the fellowship will be going on.
Yeah, the fellowship. That's a more correct way of putting it. The fellowship. That's when it'll be going on. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome, dude.
Yeah, there's going to be some great discussions during that time. I mean, that's if you enjoyed kind of what Justin and I were talking about tonight when we started talking a little bit about our beliefs and the esoteric and stuff like that. That's the kind of discussions that I have in person. Those aren't the ones that I have. I don't have institutional conversations really in person. I usually talk more one-on-one, personal about, where my mind really goes. Even though we do talk a lot institutionalized, but yeah, that's the good stuff that you'll get.
Oscar asked about BYOB. Yeah, man, you can bring whatever you want, dude.
Oh yeah, please do.
It's all good. Oh, just was talking about young people phrases. Man, you be tripping. You be tripping.
I'm sorry, I don't understand that slang business.
Man, that's cap. That's cap.
I don't even know what that means.
Cap, Dennis. Well, anyway, this show is bussing, but
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Justin went back to teaching students so that he could be hip. It's hip to be square.
I am hip.
I'm the square. It's hip to be square.
what's the Grandpa Simpson? I used to be with it. Did they change what it was? Now what I'm yeah,
Without, now I'm
yeah.
without.
Now without something like that. Anyway, time to wrap up, dude. So
So the summit's going to be great. Go to Masonic summit.com to get your tickets, and then go to the Hilton DoubleTree. Call them directly and then say Masonic Improvement to get
mhm.
your room to get the discounts. By the way, the rooms are $100 discount by saying that you're going through Masonic Improvement.
Mhm.
Just so that everybody knows, when you get your tickets, that's at $100 discount of what it normally costs to have that room. Just letting you know.
Yeah.
Each night, $100 off each night. So just letting you know. But it's beachfront, beautiful, and it's going to be a good time.
It is. It is.
Otherwise, I've enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that yeah, I think we do need to have a few more, a little bit deeper talks going forward.
We can do that. We can make that happen. All right, everybody. Well, y'all have a good week, and we'll see you on the next live. And we'll probably need to do another members only, not a members only, like another. I think we should maybe next week do when we do our live have the inner circle on. Remember when we did that before? It was like an inner circle
Yep.
live. I think that
Yep.
might be fun.
Let them have a go at it while we're doing our live.
Yeah, yeah. Just to have a conversation, maybe esoteric, like an esoteric conversation.
Yeah, we can do that.
Great. All right, everybody, read the entire book of Morals and Dogma by next Sunday, and we will discuss it.
One sentence.
Yeah, yeah,
we'll, we'll discuss one sentence, which is one paragraph.
yeah,
That's how Pike writes.
yeah. All right, everybody. See y'all next time.
Keep it between the points, brothers.